All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're journeying deep into the heart of ancient Indian mythology to talk about a group of beings that are as powerful as they are mysterious and just absolutely fascinating, the Yakshas. So, let me start by asking you this. We usually think of gods as the ones in charge, the ultimate protectors, right? But what if the spirits guarding all the Earth's hidden wealth, all the secret places, were something else entirely? Well, meet the Yakshas and their female counterparts, the Yakshinis. Now, these beings are in a class of their own. They're not exactly gods, they're not demons, they're not angels. Think of them more like the primal, living spirit of a place, tied to the very land they protect. Okay, so let's get into their most famous job description, the one that's really captured people's imaginations for centuries, being the guardians of just unbelievable riches. The story goes, the Yakshas are the loyal crew of Kubera, the treasurer of the gods, and from their legendary city, Alakapuri, way up in the Himalayas, they watch over every single gem, every vein of gold, every treasure chest buried deep in the earth. I mean, there's a reason the phrase, a Yaksha's treasure, basically means a fortune that is fiercely protected.
But here's a question. Were they always about the gold and jewels? Well, that part of their story actually came along a bit later. To really get who the Yakshas are, we need to rewind the clock, way back to when they were seen as the raw, primal spirits of the wild. See, before they had a king, they were known as kshetrapalas, which literally means something like guardians of the field or protectors of a place. Local villages would worship them as the spirit of that specific forest, or the soul of their town lake, or the life force in a huge ancient tree. And they'd pray to them for good crops and to keep them safe.
And this is where their story gets really wild. You can see how they evolved. They start off as these mysterious spirits, then they become beloved local deities, and then their popularity just explodes. And get this part is so important. The very first huge stone statues in Indian history, they weren't of gods like Shiva or Vishnu, they were of these towering, powerful Yakshas. That tells you how big of a deal they were. So how do you go from a bunch of scattered, independent nature spirits to a whole organized kingdom with a single ruler? Well, that's where the absolutely epic story of their king Kubera comes into play. Kubera's backstory is pure drama. He was the original king of the golden city of Lanka, but he gets violently overthrown by his own half-brother, the famous demon king Ravana. So he's exiled, he's defeated, but he does not give up. He goes up to the Himalayas, starts a new kingdom called Alakapuri, and performs such intense spiritual practice that he gets the attention of Lord Shiva, who rewards him by making him the god of wealth. And it's then that the Yakshas all rally to him and become his loyal subjects. But you can't ever completely take the wild out of a nature spirit. And this gets us right to the heart of what makes Yakshas so compelling. They are not simple. They are incredibly unpredictable, always walking that fine line between being helpful and being, well, really dangerous. You just never know which version you're gonna get. And this lays it out perfectly. On the one hand, a Yaksha could grant you a wish, make you rich, protect your town, or even test you with deep philosophical questions. But on the other hand, they could be a terrifying spirit that attacks travelers, or a mischievous Yakshini that lures you to your doom. They are a true force of nature, powerful, wild, and totally unpredictable. And that wise side of them? It's perfectly captured in this amazing quote from the Mahabharata. This wasn't just some clever riddle, you know, this was part of a life or death exam on morality and the meaning of life. This comes from the legendary story of the Yaksha Prashna, the Yaksha's questions. So a Yaksha is guarding a magic lake. One by one, the Pandava brothers show up, try to drink the water without permission, and bam, the Yaksha strikes them down. It's only when the oldest and wisest brother Yudhishthira arrives that someone can finally answer the Yaksha's tough questions about life and ethics. And, plot twist, the Yaksha, satisfied, reveals he was actually Dharma, the god of justice in disguise all along. It's a great story that shows Yakshas aren't just guardians of treasure, but guardians of wisdom too. So, where can we actually see the impact of these complex beings today? Let's take a look at how their legacy has echoed through the centuries, shaping just about everything from art and religion to classic poetry. The lore surrounding them can get incredibly specific, especially with the Yakshinis. Some traditions list 36 principal Yakshinis, and they're all categorized. Some are helpful, some are neutral, some are fierce. Each one has her own special mantras, her own rituals, and her own unique powers. It's a whole system.
And seriously, once you start looking, their influence is everywhere. In art, you'll see them as these powerful, often beautiful guardians on the gates of ancient Buddhist sites. In Jainism, each of the 24 great spiritual teachers has a Yaksha and Yakshini pair assigned as their personal protectors. In literature, one of the greatest poems in the Sanskrit language, Meghaduta, is told entirely from the point of view of a heartbroken Yaksha. And in folklore, these stories are still very much alive, with some people claiming that a famous sealed vault in a temple in South India is guarded to this day by a fearsome Yakshini.
And, this whole idea of a powerful, semi-divine nature spirit isn't just limited to India. The concept really resonates across the globe. A lot of people see strong parallels between Yakshas and the elves from European folklore, magical beings tied to nature who can be both helpful and dangerous. And their stories have traveled, becoming a part of traditions in places like Thailand, Japan, and Myanmar. So, in the end, a Yaksha isn't just one thing. They're ancient nature spirits. They're loyal guardians of treasure. They're wise testers of our character. And sometimes they're dangerous fiends. They really represent the wild, untamable power of the natural world. Which leaves us with one final thought. If you were to meet one on a lonely road, which face of the Yaksha do you think it would show to you?